clean clothes to be pushed through me instead of dirty ones.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I worked for Chesty Kohler. He was a lieutenant colonel then.
So was Guadalcanal the first time you worked as a sniper, or was were you just still the regular?
No, I worked as a sniper then.
Yeah.
My whole job was sniping, but at Midway there was no sniping work to do, so they put us on whatever they wanted us to do.
Well, what
Kinda
unit?
hard to snipe
What
with
unit
60
were
below
you?
sea level.
Were you in?
Well,
It was the same unit. Midway?
on Midway they put us in what they called a first provisional infantry battalion because they had no need for snipers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Down Midway I was with Hawkins Snipers, which is oh hell. I can't remember the number we had. D Company something anyway. We were the first sniper battalion.
That was on Guadalcanal?
We were the fourth Raiders. Then they took the people, the top riflemen, and put us in what they called Scouts and Snipers, which later turned into Marine Recon, and now it's called Force Recon. I worked for Lieutenant Hawkins. They called us Hawk Snipers. And
That was at Guadalcanal.
yeah,
Were you the same company, the same group of guys on Midway? And then,
some of the same snipers went with us. Yeah, my friend Quinto Dulce, and I was with him all through the war. And Harry McCutcheon,
Mm-hmm.
he joined the same time I did, and he's still alive, I think. But he stayed in after the war, and he retired a captain. And the last time I was down to LA, I was going to go see him, but his wife said, "Don't even bother, he wouldn't know you," because he didn't know her anymore. He had Alzheimer's. He was a good golfer too.
Yeah, you guys used to play golf together.
Every Saturday,
Yeah.
first off at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had a lot of fun. He was a nice guy.
So what was, did you go in to make the landing at Guadalcanal the same time as everyone else, or?
No, I went in later.
You went in later?
We went in a little bit later. The main landing was unopposed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no opposition on the beach. And they said the first night the guys were in there, they were shooting up everything. They were shooting at shadows, which is easy to do when you're green troops.
So it was the first time you were really in the jungle.
Well, that was it was the first time I was in the jungle. There's no jungle at Midway. And, down there you had, it's a pretty heavy jungle. I saw it again later when we went to Korea. They slowed down by Guadalcanal, and I was on coming back from Korea. And hell, that's a resort town. I mean, they've got big resorts on their hotels and everything now. That Tenerife River down there that they had the Banzai charges on, it was just a muddy slough, you know. I don't see how they could call it a river. It was even smaller than the Reese River.
That's pretty small.
Yeah.
So what happened when you guys landed?
We got shot at. Went through some naval bombardments from those big Navy battleships, and went into a place that was called, they called it the Volcano. That's where old Chester Kohler got shot in the back. And, he wouldn't let him take the shrapnel out of him until, oh heck, I think it was at Peleliu that finally bothered him so bad they had to go in and remove the steel hip. He was fun guy to work with.
He's a Marine Corps legend.
Yeah. I met Lou Diamond down there. He was the only Marine that was allowed to wear a beard after, I guess it was after the Civil War. Before the Civil, during the Civil War, they could have beards, but after the Civil War, he was the only Marine that was allowed to have a beard.
What was that?
Oh, he is sort of a legend. He was one of the best mortar men in the world.
Hmm.
In fact, they claim that he sank a destroyer with a mortar shell, put it right down the stack of a destroyer. I don't believe it, but that's what they said. Some of them stories go. But he was good. And I guess he was in the Marine Corps, oh gosh, I think he put in 45 years or so. Then they finally retired him out. But he built a reputation during World War II, or one down there over in Europe. And then he was in, served time in China, and he served time in Nicaragua during the banana wars down there. They let him wear a beard. Oh, at Midway too, that's where I shot over Gunner's hat off.
Oh, Midway, you want to,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, he was, when I first made corporal, they put a sidearm on me, and we fell out for an inspection. And he come to me, and I whipped that old pistol out, and I opened the slide, dropped the clip out, and let him inspect it. And I slammed that clip back in and let the slide go and pulled the trigger and blew his hat off. He had one of those campaign hats on, it has a little brim Smokey Bear hat. The bullet went through the front of it. He was about 20 minutes before he could talk. And then the man did he talk to me. He was just a tad upset. It's a good thing he didn't stick his chin out or I'd have nicked it for him. He took my pistol away. Took the stripe away too.
Well, they're not supposed to give snipers pistols.
Yeah, well, that's right. I was better with a rifle. Oh man, was he upset. He just stood there, his mouth. He couldn't even talk. And we had Lieutenant Mann too, and we had this kid from North Dakota that he was sort of a feather merchant type, and his job was to burn the heads every day. We'd put gasoline in the crappers, and then he'd sprinkle lime in there, and Roger found out if he put a coral block on the seats, and then he'd put all the gasoline and stuff in there and put coral blocks on the seats, and he'd go around behind and throw a match through a hole, and it'd explode, the coral blocks would go flying off towards the ocean. Anyway, I guess we went to chow, and coming back, Lieutenant Mann must have had nerves, because he went in there and he must have lit a match and something and tossed it in the hole when he lit a cigarette, and anyway, the thing blew up. He come out there, pants around his ankles, headed for the ocean, which is only just a few feet away, His butt was just smoking, But that was funny. Roger lost his job too. I guess stuff when it blew on him just didn't burn, That lieutenant.
It must have burned when he hit the salt water.
I would imagine, because he run down there, jumped in the ocean, but it looked so funny, he's trying to run and pants hanging around.
That's pretty bad when you lose your job as the crapper demolition guy. Where do you go from there?
I don't know, I didn't see him after Midway. He disappeared.
I don't know.
I met Lieutenant Mann again when I went to Korea. He was major then over there. he didn't come out of Korea.
Hmm.
Yeah, he tried to, going around the, oh, the hell was the name of the reservoir? Imogen Reservoir. Anyway, they had this point there that the road went around, and the the communists used to use H and I fire on there. You know, every so many minutes they'd run a string of shells across that road, and he tried to time it and he missed. He was in a Jeep, and they landed one in his back seat.
Hmm.
What, was it on Midway where the Japanese flying boat?
Oh yeah, that was when, what was it, Secretary of Navy Knox? Yeah,
Probably.
they came out on an inspection trip, him and some congressmen, and they were on top of the roof of the BOQ up there and having some drinks or something. And the radar picked up this big bogey coming in, and they figured it was a mail plane because the mail plane always came in on Tuesday. And heck, all of a sudden, here comes this big old Japanese flying boat flying over, and cameras hanging out all over the place, just taking pictures of all these here congressmen and Secretary of Navy and everything. Kept on going. Nobody said a word. I mean, once they saw it was Japanese, so they sent a couple fighter planes up, and they nailed him before he got headed back to Wake Island. I think that was a real surprise. I would imagine Knox had had something to say about it when he got home.
Oh, yeah.
I told Mr. Roosevelt, don't send me out there anymore. Yeah, that was a fun place. Good fishing out there too. We used to have fishing parties and go out in the lagoon and catch fish for the mess halls. I did that quite a bit every chance I got.
Well, wasn't there something about the cable station there? The guy, civilian around the cable station had a cow
Oh,
or
yeah.
something?
Yeah, he had some cows there, and they got killed during the bombing in June. And then they sent them out some new cows and hay and everything on the aircraft carrier Saratoga. And it looked so funny. Here come this big aircraft carrier out there, haystacks on it and the corrals on the deck. They brought him in cows and hay and everything. But he was the cable station attendant.
What do you remember most about Guadalcanal?
Oh, well, we had a good still down there. The guys, the Navy sent all kinds of raisins and sugar and stuff out there. And most of the stuff we ate there was just rations anyway, and they had all this raisins and sugar. So the guys, one of the caves back there, they built this nice big still. And it worked. I mean, boy, we had some good stuff. Jungle juice.
Jungle juice.
Oh, I remember.
Is that where you had things buried in coconuts?
Oh no, that was Eddie. We talked.
Okay.
But, yeah, there on the canal, I remember combat I remember most was what they call Bloody Nose Ridge, just outside of Henderson Field. And there was a couple good scraps there, and we had a good scrap at Matnacow. The best thing I remember about Guadalcanal was leaving there and going to New Zealand.
Were you there when they had the bonsai charges, or did you
Yeah.
see that, or? Yeah.
Yeah,
What sort of position were you in during that? Were you with a buddy in a foxhole, or?
yeah, I was just in a foxhole, and generally that was what your sniping job was, just sitting in a hole and shooting at anything you could see. If you saw a heel, you shot it. If you saw a head, you shot it, or shot at it. Sometimes you missed, sometimes you didn't. But it just kept everybody nervous. And you might be shooting when everybody else is nothing going on, but your job was just to keep everybody upset. If you saw something, you shot at it. We did more of that really heavy in Korea than we did during World War II. World War II, if you had snipers shooting at you, they used to send us out to get the snipers that were, bothering us. Guadalcanal, most of them, their snipers would be up in those palm trees, and they'd be lashed up into a palm tree, and they'd shoot you when you're going by. So we used to pop them out. It was easy though, I mean, generally we'd just shoot at every palm tree would come to.
You said you were on Bloody Nose Ridge and the Japanese were trying to take Henderson Field, the airfield.
Yeah.
Did they ever get past Bloody Nose Ridge?
No, sir.
How many attacks?
Oh gosh, that first bonsai attack lasted for several hours. They were hitting it on and off all the time, but the bonsai attack was only several hours long. That's when they just come at you and they don't even slow down, they just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. That's where John Basiloni got his Congressional Medal. Yeah, he was called Manila John. He was one of the China Marines. Pardon me. But he started when the battle started. He'd been washing his feet or something. He didn't even get a chance to put his shoes on. He was running up and down that ridge all night with no shoes on and keeping ammunition in the machine guns. And, they got him. He could have had a commission and stayed in the States, but he wanted to keep in on the fighting, and so when they landed at Iwo Jima, he decided he was going to get him another Congressional Medal because there's not many people have two of them. And he tried to take an airstrip all by himself and took a mortar shell right on top of the head. So he got a street named after him in Camp Pendleton. We did a lot of patrol work down there with the 4th Raider Battalion. I lost a lot of good friends. Got malaria too, dengue fever. That's
What's the dengue fever like?
They call it the breakbone fever. And that's just what it feels like. Feels like every bone in you is going to break. It don't recur though like malaria. You get over it and you're over it. But it's a mosquito-borne thing. But it hurts. I mean, you get every bone in you aches. You swear it'd be easier to die. With malaria, you get pink eyes cream, yellow alligators and things like that. You see it all the time, but you get over that. But it comes back every time you turn it around. I actually had malaria before I ever, when I lived in Red Bluff, California. There used to be a lot of it down in that valley back in the 20s and 30s. It was the first time I took a man with a knife to send us out to get some snipers or to raise hell and get some sentries so they could move into an area. I made a mess of that. When I came back into the lines, they said I looked like I'd been killed deader than the guy I got. I goofed, I guess. It was my fault. I just took a knife right through his neck and ripped it out, I guess I had more blood on me than... I wasn't hurt, but I was sick.
How was the supply situation on Guadalcanal? Did you get plenty of food and ammunition and rations all the time?
The first couple, 3 days we did all right. then they said the Japanese fleet was coming down through there, and, the admiral that was running the task force, I can't remember, Sherman or something like that, I don't remember what his name was, anyway, he pulled the fleet out and his task force away because he was afraid that he might lose one of his boats. And so we were left with no supplies coming in for about a week. And then they finally come back in and had plenty of supplies in. But what we used, I mean, we used as much Japanese supplies that we captured, you know. Their canned food left a lot to be desired. Because you didn't know what was in the cans until you opened them, and then sometimes you didn't know what it was. Most of it smelled bad. They had a lot of canned fish and stuff like that. And they run our airplanes on Japanese gasoline, which wasn't very good either. Their sake was good. And then we had our own jungle juice that we made.
Where'd you go after Guadalcanal?
So we went to Florida Island and, right after Guadalcanal, went down to New Zealand at Camp Paikakariki.
Wait, did that on, just to rest up in Liberty, or?
Yeah, we had Liberty, and you know how the Marine Corps is, we retrained.
Oh, yeah.
We had to go and retrain and get new clothes and clean our weapons, and got 5 days leave. Quinto Dulce and me went up to this lake, I can't remember the name of it now, but any fish that you caught was under 21 inches, you had to let it go. And the whole time we were up there, we ate trout. I think we turned 2 fish back. Boy, that was a great place to fish. And another time, one of the families, these local families would come and adopt you for a weekend or something like that. Because most of the young men from New Zealand were fighting over in North Africa. And I went out to this one sheep ranch, and well, the people were nice. I mean, they feed you and you walk around and just enjoy yourself and relax. And I went out with this one family for a weekend. They wrote to me for years. It was nice. I thought that was real neat. The families there had nice, their cities are nice. I think if I lived anywhere besides here, it would be there in New Zealand.
So after New Zealand, then you went back to the Solomon Islands?
Yeah.
And back then Florida Island? And
Yeah, we went back to the Solomons and cleaned them up. And Bougainville, we went into Empress Augusta Bay. They sent the scouts and snipers, and we set up signs because, you know, Guadalcanal was a real foul-up as far as hitting the beaches they were supposed to hit. And I guess that was the first big amphibious assault. We set up signs that for beach red and beach blue and all that stuff, so the guys that were sending in the landing craft, they hit the right beaches.
Oh, so you went in before the landing?
Actually, yeah.
How'd you get in there? Is it?
And just went in landing craft.
Oh, okay.
'Cause there was no opposition there until they got back in landways. Then we jumped in, took our section, put us in some PBMs after a couple of days, and flew us out and met a fleet that was headed for Tarawa. We got aboard destroyers and it took us up to Tarawa.
So you made like 2 landings right in a row, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were right close. I don't know, just a matter of a few days apart. But they flew us in those PBMs. They were quite a plane. They had several gull wing on them, 2 big engines. It's flying boats.
Mm-hmm.
And after Tarawa, I came home in a body cast.
Tell us about Tarawa. I know that was a hell of a place.
Yeah, when we landed there, our job was to clear, there was a dock there that ran out into the lagoon. And, our job was to clear that dock. And, this friend named Ganuzio, he was catching grenades, the Japanese on the dock was throwing grenades. Their grenades looked like a big spool. They were big on the bottom and top and little round things. They was throwing them off the dock into the landing boat. Ganuzio was catching them and throwing them back. And the last one they threw, I guess they got smart and they let it burn a bit before he threw it. He caught it and it went off, blew his hand off. And I guess we had to clear that dock about 4 times. 'Cause every time we get it cleared, then they'd move back into it. That was a mess out there. And it was hard to move anywhere. Had to wade through when we went back, down the beach. We had to wade in the water up to about here. They had all kinds of obstacles in the water. And I guess they were, I don't know, I think they wiped out about 4,000 people in just the first few hours. And I got blowed up. I don't remember much about that. The 2 corpsmen dragged me off back to put the aid station, and one of them died on the job. He got the Congressional Medal for dragging me out. I don't know what happened to the other one. Put us on a rubber raft and pushed us out to the ships. And by the time I got out, I guess the hospital ships were full and they put us on the deck of an empty tanker and rigged tarps up over the top. And about all they did for us was keep us in morphine or whatever until we got back to Pearl. Pearl Harbor, in that hospital at Iroquois Point was we had a real cute little Navajo nurse in our ward. I was in a body cast like this, She used to come into ward and take care of all of us. And before she'd go off duty, anything I could do for you boys, let me know. And some guy hollered, you can kiss us all goodnight. So I'd give everybody a kiss goodnight, And there's some old bat in there that used to feed us like she was going out on a hot date, because she'd shove the food in like that. And from there I went back to, was it a hospital at Oakland, Oak Knoll?
I think so.
Yeah. Put us on a train there and sent us down to San Diego. That's where I first met a woman Marine was on the ambulance going from the dock over to Oak Knoll. But she drove like she was in Indianapolis. I asked her, I said, I've heard of waves and wax. I said, what do they call women Marines? She said, BAMs. I said, what's that? She said, broad-ass Marines. Oh, Lord.
Were you out of the body cast by then?
I got a body cast San Diego.
You got it.
I got out of it.
You got out of it there.
Yeah, I was busted up a bit. Broken bones and stuff.
Is that where we have on the documentary, there's the film of you being blown up?
Probably that was Toro that I got
Yeah.
blowed up.
Yeah.
I went flying through the air.
Yeah, we saw
You're
that.
trying to take a pillbox or something?
Yeah, went over the top of one and got blown back over it.
Yeah.
What was neat, they put us on a train, hospital train there at Oakland, and took us down to San Diego to that hospital. And they put the hospital cars between the passenger cars and the dining car. All these people walking back and through. They told them, talk to the guys, I remember this little girl about yay big. She says, are you hurt? I didn't know how I should go around like this.
Did you think you were out of it at that point?
No, I
No?
didn't think so. Anyway, that little girl climbed up on the edge of my bed and talked to me. Her mother kept saying, don't bother the men, don't bother the men. Hell, that's probably why they put us between the passenger car and the dining car, you know. So people would come through and find out that war wasn't all roses and glory and all that crap. In San Diego, we got us out of the cast. My friend Dulce was there too. We got out of our cast. He had a broken leg is all. But then they put us in these hydrotherapy pools they had and lower you in there, you know, and then they start working, trying to make your joints work again. That hurt. The funniest thing though is, you stink when you get in one of them big casts. I told that nurse, I said, any way you can get rid of it, because that odor coming out of it, it was terrible. They poured the alcohol or something down the cast and slosh you around a bit, tip you up.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Is that where you used to have the wheelchair races at the San
yeah,
Diego
we go
Zoo?
to the zoo there at San Diego, because that's where the hospital is, right in the San Diego Zoo. When they got us to where we could move and we was in wheelchairs and we'd race up and down the pass in the zoo. It's a wonder we didn't kill ourselves. I had this friend named Buckley that he lost an arm. And they had a arm just stuck on him, you know, just for him to get used to carrying that extra weight. I'm in a bar in San Diego, and I don't know, I'm talking to these people, and he told his girl, he said, my name's Buckley, how you doing? He stuck it out, she grabbed their arm and pulled it right off him. Oh, God. He thought that was so much fun. Let's go find another one. But all they had was a sock or something, you know, to hold it on there. She just shook hands with her and she pulled his arm off.
It sounds like a Marine.